I think it would be good for our listeners. I don't, and this is kind of putting you on the spot, Jacob, but do you have like an example checklist that we could put in our show notes for people to check out?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'll talk about a really specific example we, most of the clients I work with and what I did before this was manage, engineering departments. And we were responsible for doing all of the submittal drawings, design drawings for manufacturing, as well as the engineering. And I actually have a blog post about this. One of the very first things that I recommend for any my engineering managers or my clients is to define your inputs. And so what I mean by that is to literally, because one of the biggest frustrations engineering departments a lot of times have, or drafting departments, and is, well, hey, we get a job awarded and then we have this internal kickoff meeting and sales and estimating hand it off. Hey, here's the job, now go do the work, right? And then there's always these questions that come up, or missing information, or hey, there's discrepancies here, and hey, these are constantly obstacles. And so what I did is I created a checklist that said, I'm going to come to that meeting with this checklist. Before we leave that meeting, I'm going to make sure that I have all the stuff that I need. And if I don't, what am I doing? What's being done about it? Okay, I've these 3 things I'm missing. Now that's in the project manager's bucket of I'm waiting for them to get that from the client or whatever it might be. And so it gives some ownership and some empowerment if you as an organization owner say, that's what I was alluding to earlier, is like your internal customers having input and defining for them what do they need from their upstream partner in your business for them to be successful. And for me, if I'm a sales guy or if I'm a project manager, I just want to know from the organization, what do you need from me to have my job done well, to have my job go smoothly, right? And so I'm going to trip over myself to get you that if it means that it's going to get done on time, on budget, all this stuff. So for you to just tell me, give me the cheat sheet. What do you need? That's my checklist now. Your inputs are my checklist. And so having that collaborative approach. So what we did, to answer your question, is I created checklists for the review process for each party. So we would do the submittal drawings. And then as a part of the internal review, before anything went to the client, I had a checklist that required the PM to review the drawings and sign off on it, somebody in engineering to peer review it, so third-party review, and somebody in manufacturing. And what that did was, because we would constantly have issues where we would submit drawings and then they would come back from the client and the PM would say, well, they marked this up. Why did you do that? Well, nobody told me to do differently. Nobody else reviewed this and said it should be this instead of that. It was just a single drafter informing that. And similarly, we'd get all the way to manufacturing, and manufacturing would say, well, I wish you guys would have detailed it this way. We want to build it this way. So I said, let's go all the way upstream, and I'm going to get you guys to sign off and say, you've looked over this job, well, many months in advance, and given us input if we need it, but you've signed off, and so that when we get downstream, there's no, well, why didn't we? And, so part of it was a CYA, but really it was getting their input early in the process so that things just go smoothly. And so the checklist was, for a PM, I don't want you to review spelling errors. I don't want you to review CAD details. I want you to review for scope and contract issues. So are we detailing things that we shouldn't be saying that we're going to provide that we didn't get paid for? And are we missing things that we should? The engineering reviewer is going to review for quality. They're going to say, hey, did you spell everything right? Did you detail things right? Did you draw it in CAD the way to our standards? And manufacturing is going to review to say, hey, is there a detail I don't like or that we're not capable of building that way? And so you're dividing things up, and through those checklists, we're assigning responsibility to make this big task simpler and bite-sized for each person.
There's a book out there called The Checklist Manifesto, which I just happen to have. And it's about a doctor and all the deaths in hospitals and all this, but it is magnificent. Mm-hmm. And one of the most powerful things you'll remember is don't have a 400-point checklist, 5, 10 points, but that it is not just you. You have the people around the truck, let's make it contractors, going to a job, and they're all leaning on the truck and say, do we have the tools? Do we have materials? Do we know where we're going? Is there gas in the can? Are they ready for us? And some people may not care, but 4 people, 5 guys standing around answering those questions has an effect. That's kind of the point of his book. No, we don't. Oh, I'm standing by the gas can. There's no gas in here. Okay, well, that just saved us 2 hours of dead time because we're going out in the country, right?
Yep.
It's a great book, but that powerful idea of it's not just for me, it's a group. Have we considered this, 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 this? And when everybody signs off, there's a much higher probability that you will have effectively checked things than if it's just you.
Yep. And this goes all the way upstream. I know I'm giving very niche examples, but every business, everyone listening, if you're a contractor, you're a business owner, you have accounting, you have accounts payable, you have accounts receivable. So like we've had to create a checklist for just client onboarding. So when I go talk to a new client and they say, yes, I want to do business with you guys, my accountant, my bookkeeper has a checklist of like, okay, when Jacob sends me this new client's information and a new contract, did the contract have this information? And then there's a checklist we'll actually send the client that says, hey, we want to make sure that we set you up very well so that when we invoice you in the future and when we, do all this stuff that we have the right information. So things like we're going to send you our W-9, or we're going to send you a request that says, who should we be contacting for all future invoices? What email should it be? Do we have the right business entity name in our system? So all the way upstream, like this same concept applies throughout your business. And if you just start to think as a business owner, like what are the things that I'm constantly doing or my team's constantly doing, and what mistakes are coming from that, those things could have a checklist to prevent those issues.